And welcome back to Never Done Else with me, John Martin, and we have another station review. Today I'm back in the East Riding of Yorkshire, on the Yorkshire coastline, for the northern run station of Driffield. Driffield sits at the corner of Beverley Road, Middle Street South and Riverhead, with the tracks crossing over Riverhead as a level crossing. The shopping area of Driffield is to the north. We're on the Yorkshire coastline, as I said, that runs between Hull and Scarborough. Hutton Cranswick is 3 miles to the south. Nafferton is 2 to the east. Driffield Station has been the heart of the Yorkshire World's railway network for almost 180 years, and for much of that time it has been an important railway junction in the East Riding, although today it appears to be much more of a quiet wayside station. Its history reflects the rapid expansion of the Victorian railways, the fierce competition between railway companies, growth of seaside tourism, and then the dramatic decline in Britain's rural branch lines during the 20th century. Story begins in the Great Railroad boom of the 1840s. The York and North Midland, one of the companies created by the famous and corrupt promoter George Hudson, was rapidly extending its railway across Yorkshire, seeking to connect Hull with the growing resorts and ports further north, and the company constructed a new railway through Driffield. The station officially opened on the 6th of October 1846. Along with the completion of the Hull to Bridlington line. Built on the northern edge of the town centre, it immediately became a gateway to the agricultural communities of Yorkshire Wolds and the wider railway network. Even before the station had opened, another railway company had recognised Driffield's strategic importance. The independent Moulton and Driffield Junction Railway received parliamentary approval in 1846 to build a route westward across the Wolds to Moulton, creating a connection with the York to Scarborough Railway. Construction proved difficult and expensive, with deep cuttings and heavy earthworks required through the chalk hills. As a result, the line was not completed until the 19th of May 1853. Cool. There's 7 years to build a railway. The scandal, HS2, when the first trains were eventually they reached Driffield. Although the route never generated large volumes of freight or passenger traffic, it gave the town a second railway outlet and established Driffield as a genuine railway junction. During the second half of the 19th century, Britain's railway companies underwent a series of mergers and reorganisations. The York and North Midland became part of the North Eastern in 1854, placing Driffield under control of one of the country's largest regional railway companies. The North Eastern Railway invested heavily in the station, expanding its goods facilities, cattle docks and sidings to handle the agricultural produce for which the surrounding wolds were famous. Grain, livestock, coal, milk and animal feed all passed through Driffield in considerable quantities, making the goods yard almost as important as the passenger station itself. The station's importance increased once again with the opening of another route. On the 1st of May 1890, the North Eastern Railway completed the line from Market Weighton and Selby to Driffield. Unlike the Moulton branch, this route quickly became extremely busy, particularly during the summer months, and it provided a direct railway from the industrial towns of the West Riding to the Yorkshire coast, carrying thousands of holiday makers to Bridlington, Filey, and Scarborough. Excursion trains became a familiar sight at Driffield, where the station often bustled with passengers changing trains or waiting for coastal services. By the turn of the 20th century, Driffield had become one of the busiest junctions in the East Riding. The early 20th century brought significant changes to Britain's railway companies under the Railway Act of 1921. Almost all the country's railway operations were merged into the so-called Big Four, So on the 1st of Jan 1923, the North Eastern Railway Company became part of the London and North Eastern Railway, better known as the LNER. Driffield Station therefore passed into LNER ownership, although day-to-day operations changed relatively little. Holiday traffic continued to flourish throughout the interwar years, while agricultural freight remained an important source of income. Following the Second World War, Britain's railways were nationalised. On the 1st of Jan 1948, the LNER ceased to exist and Driffield became part of British Railways, specifically its North Eastern region, which would later become part of the Eastern region when they got rid of the North Eastern. By this time, however, the railway was facing increasing competition from road traffic. Lorries were taking much of the agricultural freight, while buses and private cars steadily reduced the passenger numbers on the rural lines. The first major casualty was the Moulton-Driffield line. Despite its engineering ambition, it had never been particularly profitable, and British Railways closed it to passengers and goods on the 5th of June 1950. This closure reduced Driffield from a three-route junction to a station with just two through lines, although the Hull, Bridlington and Selby routes remained busy for another decade. The most significant blow came in the 1960s, following the production of the Beech's report and reshaping of Britain's railways in 1963. Many rural routes were earmarked for closure. The Selby to Market Weighton and Driffield line was among those selected. It closed on the 14th of June 1965, bringing an end to busy holiday trains that had once carried thousands of passengers through the station every summer. Overnight, Driffield lost its status as an important junction and simply became an intermediate station on the surviving Hull to Bridlington route. Although much of the station's railway estate disappeared during the following decade, many reminders of its former importance survived for some time. The extensive goodyard continued to handle freight before eventually closing, while sidings serving local industries gradually fell out of use. Housing has since been built on part of the former railway land, although traces of the cattle docks, loading areas and former goods facilities can still be identified. We have two platforms here. The down platform is 124 metres long and the up is 103 metres long. Both platforms are reached from the road. There isn't a bridge or a subway connecting them. There is a siding behind the northbound platform heading north, and some Network Rail road vehicles are based there. The humble heroes in the Department for Transportation Classification Team class this as an F1 category station, the busier of the two types of unstaffed station. Marks for services, 4 out of 10. There are two hourly services from here in each direction. The first is the York to Bridlington service. Bridlington is 15 minutes away, Beverley 15. Hull is half an hour where the train reverses, and York is 1 3/4. The other is the Scarborough to Sheffield service. These run with less stops between Hull and Bridlington, so take a minute off the previous timings for those. Scarborough is 52 minutes away, Doncaster is an hour 17, and Sheffield is an hour 55. At peak times, there is an extra Bridlington to Hull limited stop return. From the 24-25 figures, we have the most popular destination as Hull, with 49,830 journeys, followed by Beverley, Bridlington, Hutton Cranswick, and then Scarborough. And now for the passenger numbers. Driffield had 275,396 entries and exits, which is a daily average of 754.5. There are 451 scheduled services per week from here, which is 6 less to Bridlington. Looking through the timetable, it looks like Driffield misses out on an early train out of Hull towards Scarborough in the morning. Anyway, this gives us 11 1/4 of a passenger per service. Would that morning train from Hull be useful? Leave a comment. Saying that, half the Bridlington services are trains that start or terminate there, while all the Driffields are through, which gives it a higher rating on my services score. Passenger numbers are on the increase and they are above the pre-COVID levels. Marks for onward travel, 2 out of 5. Driffield Station is served by the 41, the 136, the 141, the 530, the 544, the M1 and X45 buses on Middle Street South. Aside from the 430, the bus services are all run by East Yorkshire buses. The 41 is hourly from Hull to Bridlington. The 136 is Driffield to Bridlington via Skipsea. This runs 4 times to Bridlington. The return only runs 3 times between Bridlington and Driffield. The 141 is from Cottingham and Beverley to Bridlington, roughly once an hour. Hart runs the 530, which is an hourly circular around Driffield. It runs from just after 9 in the morning to just before 3 in the afternoon. The 544 runs twice a day from Pocklington. The M1 is a once a day service from Hull to Pickering. And the X45 roughly once an hour to York. Marked for accessibility 5 out of 10. Both platforms are level access from the road. There are indications here and there are announcements. However, while I was there, the council ferry was playing her tricks and the announcements couldn't keep track of the departures. What made things worse, as well as just announcing the wrong train, was that the recording announcements in the Class 155 Super Sprinter are almost completely incomprehensible. This doesn't actually seem to be anything to do with the PA system, as the live announcements were perfectly audible. This does not reflect well on Northern trains at all. Marked for station facilities 4 out of 10. Despite the station being classified as unstaffed, there is a ticket office open in the mornings through to just after lunch. I will contrast with the next station that I am going to view, which has a much more infrequent service and a limited ticket office hours, only 3 hours compared to the 7 here, but gets a staffed classification. If you can guess what that station is, put it in the comments, and if you get it right, I will pin you. On from there is supposedly a waiting room, but that was out of order when I visited. Both platforms have extensive canopies and both covered and uncovered seating. The serious seeming source of spectacular screw-ups, the National Rail website, claims that the station car park has 38 spaces. There is also cycle storage here. We also have an express laundry and ironing service at the station. Marks for care and character, 17 out of 20. This is a lovely, characterful station. Northeastern architecture is very smart, and those whitewashed bricked arches with a northern blue lining make this station stand out. We have smart squat station building on the northbound platform. There is a Northeastern Railways tiled map and some nostalgic features such as an old luggage trolley. Out from the canopies, there is a lovely garden on the southbound platform with a cat basking in the sun when I visited. From the southbound, there is a memorial to the railway workers who were lost during the Great War. Marked for nearby things, 4 out of 10. First off, I'm taking a mark off for whatever local thing there is that interrupted my drone signal, so I couldn't get the thing to land and it took a chunk out of my finger while trying to turn it off in mid-air. Also scrambled the micro SD card to such extent I can't even get it to reformat. So, on to what we have nearby. To the north is the shopping street. We have a good array of shops, restaurants, bars. To the west there is a showground and you can find the track bed of former lines. To the south is the station is the Riverhead. This is the end of the Driffield navigation, a canal basin with some remaining warehouses. This ending up right next to a major railway junction is not a coincidence. Or rather, the major railway junction being built right where the canal ended was not a coincidence. Overall, I'm giving this 36 out of 65, which is 55%. This is a lovely little station with an individual style I haven't seen elsewhere on the network, as yet. We have some nice industrial history and a pleasant canal walk next to the station. Annoyingly, I was having to battle the council ferry, who defeated the station's automated announcements. Being able to keep track of a half-hourly service shouldn't be beyond Northern, but it was. So, I've given you a clue earlier about the next station I'm going to review. Put your guesses in a comment and we'll see if it gets traction. Thank you once again for watching this as I travel around the country. Please like, subscribe and ring that bell to be notified of the next station review.
That's no.